Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andy, we could talk a little football, and not the kind that's been dominating my life, but the kind that we get to watch on Sundays. And this is a great week. It's been a while since I was really fired up for an NFL slate, but I love both the board and the matchups this week are going to be fun to talk about. There are like 8 huge topics that I'm dying to get into, even for games that I don't have an opinion on. I just want your takes. But before we get into this, man, what a day. A couple of days, man.
And even just my mind, and I have crippling ADHD, by the way. Obviously, you guys know me. Like, I didn't even hear anything you said. Anything, I didn't listen to a word you said, because you said you talked about some football, and I got the old Monday night theme in my head. I'm trying to remember, what did Hank Williams Jr. do to get in trouble? Did he
probably some racist shit,
some like offensive shit? Like he had to,
so.
That was like before getting canceled was a thing too. This was years ago.
Yeah, well, I don't remember.
I don't.
Dan
remember.
Dan had boots on the ground there, I think. Right?
Don't want to be the guy who's like, I miss him, bring him back, and then later we found out like, oh, Andy, he's in prison for a long time or something. But I do miss that song.
Yeah, that was very much a milkshake duck situation. Yeah.
Yeah, very racist. Yeah. That checks out. Because Carrie has a great song, but nothing is better than "Are you ready for some football?" That was the back in, guys, you younger ladies and gentlemen, and I'll just assume there's like at least one lady that listened to this. We didn't have Thursday night football back in our day.
Oh no!
I mean,
that was invented way late for us.
Yeah, Monday night was the primetime game. That was it. You had Monday night football. It was a damn big important thing. ABC.
Yeah.
At one point, we had Dennis Miller as your as your color commentator.
Oof, that was rough.
It's been a whole weird thing. John, we love you for it. Deep Dive was his most listened to podcast on Spotify.
All right, John. Thank you for coming and telling us that.
Mine was some weird one that I don't know the name of, but it's basically just like ambient sound that I listen to sometimes when I'm writing. So, and I have that on a lot at work apparently. So mine was not the Deep Dive. My most listened to song I posted today was Axel F by Harold Faltermeyer, the main theme to Beverly Hills Cop.
You just have that on loop in the background?
No, my kid found out there was a song. His name's Zach. They found out there was a song, and he just requests it like every time we're in the car. Apparently, I've played it a lot.
Oh my god,
shitload! It's my most listened to song. But I don't. And actually,
oh my god,
I hate to like pass on soccer. But I had a pretty good DM that somebody wanted to cover an actual football betting topic that I think we could be a little helpful on. Okay. So 30 seconds on soccer.
Yeah, it was a day, man. It was a day.
You're wasting it with oof.
I mean, I had Poland to advance in that Calcutta that I'm in for huge stakes, and the last 30 minutes of those two games. First of all, that was the injustice. That there are no soccer gods, or the soccer gods are dead, because there was absolutely no excuse that. I mean, great goaltending in the first half. Guy was, Striznik, I believe you pronounce it, was standing on his head. Tech. He was incredible. The stop, particularly on the Messi PK, was unbelievable because Messi, I thought, like he had to get his handle. Oh, it was awesome. But they realistically should have lost 4-0.
And they're not good.
Absolutely should have had a third goal.
I'm super happy. I'm happy you got Poland through because they played a lot worse than they could have.
Poland also coming through potentially scoops a bunch of side pots too. So like that was it. That was a huge financial swing for me that Poland came through. And it was such a rush watching the last 30 minutes of that game. I needed to calm down, so I went and I just watched the Cocaine Bear trailer about 5 times on loop to kind of calm myself down. And it worked. Anyone
who knows, anyone who's active on the internet knows about Cocaine Bear, but somebody got into my mentions who owns the Cocaine Bear. Like the guys who, the guys down in Kentucky that have like the stuffed carcass of the Cocaine Bear. Yeah. Like those guys, somehow somebody somebody at the Dynasty League product that BetSperts has, I think Eric was the one who managed that account, must know this guy. So the guy who owns the Cocaine Bear, taxidermied Cocaine Bear, he's not with us anymore. He had a terrible drug problem, guys.
Yeah.
So, all right. Onto the question.
He has been taxidermied. That's correct. What was the soccer question?
No, this is a football question regarding betting American football. We're done with soccer. I'm very happy for Poland. We'll get back at it tomorrow. Okay. I went 0-4 today, Drew. I don't want to talk soccer. Honestly.
You are streaky, man. You were 4-0 the day before, were you?
Yeah, you know what we're going to say? I'm 4-4 these last 2 days. So it is a game of runs. But somebody, and I believe this character had asked for this previously. He'd said he wanted a take on this, and maybe I just ignored it because it was running so bad. But he said, can you talk about special Wong teaser segment? That's all he wrote. I didn't write back. Special Wong teaser segment. So I don't know if he wants us to just go through all the spots this week that are in the Wong zone. I'm assuming that's what he meant. But also I've had several other people ask just about the Wong teasers, and something that came up yesterday as I was talking to Jimmy was, so the Wong teaser is based upon the fact that the market is pretty efficient, and 3s and 7s are very important. Anyone who's been betting these knows it's been kind of a rough year for that.
Well, I was diving into that today, but yeah,
so I want your take on this.
Yeah,
and I haven't ever run this kind of because there's so many weeks where there's only 1 or 2, you don't get the biggest sample. And then if you get far enough back, we had a different 2-point rule. Honestly, if you go a few years back, totals were different. The game was honestly different. I'm not sure if you could actually find signal but I do believe there's probably something to the market gets more efficient as the year goes by, and Wong teasers should in general do better. There's still variance. There's still weird things can happen. The Eagles can pitch the ball back and somebody can pick it up, and that can kill a teaser for you. Not that that was a Wong teaser, but an efficient, if a line is efficient at +2.5, at -8.5, if the market over 10, 12 weeks agrees that that's where the spread should be, those Wong teasers should do better than doing the same thing in weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the efficiency lends itself to give 7 and 3 even more of a bump as far as where they should be, as far as being modal finishes. I just wanted you to nod your head and be like, yeah, of course.
You're 1,000,000% correct. If you break down Wong teaser leg performance by week, the worst performing weeks are always weeks 1 and 2. Always, every season. Week 3 sometimes. This year it trickled into like week 4 or 5 where they just weren't performing well. I think we just had a little bit of a more chaotic year to start, and look at the standings, think about who did well, who did poorly, and I think that actually checks out. Like, there was a lot of freaking surprise in terms of who was good and bad this year, and so the priors that the market had set for a lot of these teams were not strong. And when you don't have strong priors, then you don't have strong ratings for a team, then the likelihood that you're going to misprice a game is higher, and variance becomes a bigger problem. And the enemy of the teaser is variance. So that's why you don't tease totals. That's why in general you don't tease college football. And I think realistically the long teasers, going back to like week 6, they have been fire. Now, one interesting kind of question I had for
it has been. I've been playing.
I hadn't really thought like it was. I have a specific account that I play them in because it's not easy to find 110s for Wongs anymore.
Buckeye. Buckeye accounts.
So I know how they've been doing just because I dug a big hole early in the season. I was like, "Fuck, man!" And all of a sudden it's like it's green. I'm like, "Oh, okay, good." So I guess they've been doing well, and I dug into it a little more, and they've been doing quite well.
90% of my 90. So like 95% of my betting is at post up offshores 1% of my betting is at legal books when I go place futures or I'm in Vegas. And then, like the other 4% is at credit books. I don't use credit books as much as most. I have a couple. I don't use them for that many things because it's usually not something I need. I have my offshores. I'm posted up. I like that better. But yeah, the Buckeye, obviously it's a Buckeye skin, so it's a credit book. And that's where I was able to get, a lot of my teasers down. It's that or sportsbook.ag. And Luke Taddeo is asking, where do you play minus 110 Wongs? There's a couple offshores that have had it. It's hard to find anymore.
Yeah.
One is sportsbook.ag. For some reason, they're not taking new customers, which is a very bold business plan on their part. I've had an account there for 15, 20 years, I bet. One of my oldest accounts, they've paid out. I've taken payouts. I've moved money in and out of that repeatedly over the last few years. Everything's fine on their back end. The lines are fairly efficient and they give you minus 110 teasers. So I don't think they're shutting down. They're just not taking new customers. So Sam's pointing it out in the chat. Mostly it's going to have to be paper heads. Like you're going to have to get a legal or an illegal sports book through somebody down at the country club at the, I almost said A&W. That's not what I meant. VFW. I must be hungry for a Papa Burger. the Elks Club, something like that. Buckeye. Yep. Here's the thing, Lipscomb. So Bet Any Sport has a Buckeye skin, but they charge minus 120 at it.
Yeah.
I've tried. I thought I was getting away with one.
So real quick, there's
in the legal books, you're just not going to find it. 120 is the best.
There's one specific little subset of Wongs that has not performed well this year, and I want your opinion on this. And I don't even know if you know what I'm going to say, but it's the plus 2.5s, particularly for home teams. Yeah. For some reason, that has been like cold as ice.
Which is funny. Out of the 4 subsets, it's usually the best or the second best.
Yeah. And it's not even 1 and 2. 1.5 and 2 have been super solid. 2.5 has been the kiss of death. And I wonder, is there a little bit of a shading of a home dog at 3? Like they don't want to give you the home dog at 3. They're going to shade it a little. That takes a little of that EV away. Is that possible? Or is the market's just too efficient? That's stupid to say out loud.
I don't think they're worried too much about that. There is some shading, if something's going to be 8.5, what's the difference to a book between giving someone plus 8.5 and plus 9?
Yeah, that's the old 5 dimes trick.
That's the old 5 dimes shade. So,
but in general, you don't think the market forces don't push a home 3 to 2.5 just because of how valuable 3 is?
No, I mean. Probably every instance is a little different. That probably happens sometimes, but in a generalization, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, and then it's funny. Usually, I don't break it down between 2.5s, 2s, 1.5s, all that. I break it down between home favorite, home dog, road favorite, road dog, and usually the worst performance one is road favorite. It's it's silly. Yeah. Like this price is what it is.
But so far this season, for whatever reason, electric. Okay. Like not undefeated, but hitting at an absurdly high rate. Anyway,
all right.
If you don't know what we're talking about, tease and 8.5, 8, 7.5. Those are the 3 to the good. Tease those down.
A 6-point teaser.
6-point teaser. Tease those across 7, across 3. 1.5, 2, 2.5, tease those up past plus 3, plus 7. And that's that. And of course, totals, totals used to be kind of the key of like, hey, the lower the total, the more valuable it is. I haven't seen that. Theoretically, that's correct, right? The value of the points is even greater the lower the total is. And in fact, Wongs in the preseason, oh my God.
Yeah.
The preseason Wongs were impossibly good. And
that's where I do wonder about it. Yeah. There is probably a small subset of college football games where you could be okay with it, like the Minnesota, Minnesota, Iowa, maybe some of the armed forces games that end up in, if a total is below 35 and it's even close to getting you across those numbers, it's probably at least, it's not minus EV to tease that side. Never tease a total, please.
Yeah.
Those 6 points, you're basically starting out well in the hole unless you have some information or the weather.
Well, here's the other problem about teasing totals.
There is a reason to tease totals.
If you are dying to get across some number on a total, like look at what you can basically look at the pinnacle fair prices for every single total imaginable, right? And if that price for that leg is better than minus 260, then it's a plus EV thing to put in effectively in a parlay. Right?
It's just never going.
It never is. It's never going to be. It's never going to be.
Yeah.
So that is the sanity check you want to do before you put in any teaser. Is literally just look at would I have to lay more than minus 260 to bet this at Pinnacle? That exact price that you're trying to put in your teaser leg. And if the answer is yes, then you have EV. And if the answer is no, then you do not. In fact, and if you're dying to put that in a parlay, just parlay it directly. You're going to get a better price than laying 110.
Yep.
So anyway. That's that. Here's a kind of final thought on this. The totals theoretically is the lower the total, the better the teaser leg. I don't have a hard criteria where if it's 50-point total, I'm running away. Like, nope, not good enough. You can't really be choosy.
Yeah, I mean the updated Wong. I mean, he did start to find that eventually. Is like I think he did a bit of an updating and said I think 49 was kind of the cutoff. Once it gets above 49. You're just inviting too much variance.
Sure.
The median expected points is high enough that blowouts are more common, or a higher margin of victory is much more common. The distribution's wider both ways, so it scares people. But he lives in La Jolla, and also Stanford Wong. Stanford Wong, white guy.
Yeah,
he's
classic.
Stolen Valor.
Stolen Valor. That's right.
Changed his name to an Asian name to. I don't know. Trying to sell books.
I just like that we have a fun name for that particular teaser. It's cool.
It's cool to have something named after you.
Yeah. So here we are late in the season. Sides are tight. If you didn't already know sides were tight in the NFL, you haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
And priors are the Bayesian updating of priors is pretty much over. I mean, the only kind of mispricing you're going to find this time of year is specific people, a misaccounting of injury, impact, things like that. Yeah. Everything else is built into the price pretty much this time of year. So
the only thing that's overinflated at this point of the year are the size of baseball caps.
Yeah,
big hat season. So
it's big hat season. Yeah,
there's a few games we're not going to spend very much time on because of this, that, or the other thing. I have a couple bets I've made this week, mostly just based on I think the market is kind of wrong on a couple little things, but otherwise it's smaller bets this time of year and kind of saving up for the playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I round robin Wongs, and then I played 2 totals, so a very light card for me this week. The Thursday night game, I have not played yet, even though this is one where we had a preliminary consensus on potentially the secret pod play on Monday, which is the Bills Patriots game. Very low total, 43.5. Not expecting weather. Bills are down to 4. This has been one-way action in favor of the Patriots since the open. That cannot be injury related, as far as I can tell you. Just looking at the Bills' injury report, looks fine. Patriots are going to be without Damian Harris. Otherwise, their injury report looks fine. Patriots defense got exposed to a degree, I guess, against the Vikings on Thursday, I guess. But this is going to be a tougher test for them for sure. I think Patriots are probably going to give up into the high 20s here. They don't match up well against mobile quarterbacks. Everyone knows this. Patriots are going to have to come in with a pretty aggressive game plan for themselves offensively if they want to win this game. And the Bills defense can be had right now. There are some issues with that secondary and the way that they're playing. There's some issues with the pass rush. Von Miller looks like he will go, but he may be limited to a degree. So 43.5 to me is a hair low.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is your, because I know you want to play Patriots team total over, and I'll play it with you. That's actually a pretty good move as far as team totals, and I love getting the secret pod play out of the way because we get to the end and we forget half the shit we said over the last hour. But
every time.
So what's your median expectation for the New England Patriots to score in this
23.
game? So if that's 23, what is the percent chance the Buffalo Bills score fewer than 21 points in an NFL game? I know it's their 3rd straight road game. But the injuries that we've seen honestly on both sides of the ball have been good for offense, bad for defense, really. And I think Andrews plays for the Bills. I think he's in. Wynn? Isaiah Wynn is out.
Okay. Yeah. Andrews for the Patriots.
Andrews has said he's played, but I'm just saying in general, I think the injury news has been good for offense.
Yes,
bad for defense. The weather seems to look fine. So yeah, I did play this over. This was one and again, we talked a little bit about this on Sunday that happened on a Monday. It's not really a short week. So even if they did give some of the players and maybe some of the assistants some time off for the holiday, NFL coaches are fucked nuts. They're so like they hate their families during the season. Yes,
that's true.
These guys
everyone except for Belichick, who brought his kid on the staff for some reason.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But I mean, these guys work 200 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like they had a full week to game plan for offense. And it's two very good coaching staffs. I believe offense shows up. And I hate betting Thursday night overs, but it'll be my second of the year. Hopefully we get 2-0.
Also, I liked some of the confidence we saw from Mac Jones on Thursday. Frankly, there were signs of life there, which we haven't seen a ton from him this season. But I think he can get us to the promised land here. Really low team total. So they're at home. Hopefully their special teams doesn't kick them in the dick again. Wynn being out is a good thing, Alex Nair says. I tend to agree. Cole Strange looks legit. Cole Strange should probably be starting. So that's fine. This is going to be an interesting one. And I'm excited to see, really what the offensive approach looks like for the Bills in terms of scheme, because, they have come into these game plans against the Patriots with new wrinkles almost every time they've played them, so it'll be fun to see it.
McKenzie had a big game last year against the Patriots, I think.
He did.
And I mean, they have the wide receivers. It's not Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, but they have a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Although it's hard to dog on Kirk Cousins outside of the Eagles game and a few spots here or there. It's been hard to dog on that guy this year. And Josh Allen will be able to get loose in this a few times. He should have 50, 60 yards rushing. I mean, it should be a fun game. Hopefully, it's like 14-14 at half, and we're not really sweating a whole lot.
Yep, that sounds good to me. It'll be we'll check in at halftime when it's 3-3 and give you guys some a pep talk that we're still going to make it. But that's I think that's the best look. Let's move to Sunday, where we have a really fun one to talk about here, as the feisty Fighting Mike Whites head up to the Great White North and take on the Minnesota Vikings, who are now 9-2. Interesting kind of market activity here. You kind of expected that this was going to be a little bit of Jets support here, but I did not think you were going to push Minnesota -3 all the way to +105. If I had to guess, this is trending to 2.5. This seems like people are absolutely willing to take the points with Mike White on the road. We may get a 7th long leg before we get to Sunday with the Vikings at home at -2.5. Oh no, but the Jets, I guess, would be +2.5. So never mind. Forget that. Not adding them. Forget them. I think realistically, you have a Jets defense that matches up well against the Vikings. The main show is going to be all about Sauce Gardner v. Justin Jefferson here. Minnesota snapped a little bit of their funk against the Patriots, I guess, but there was a lot of rough fuckery and special teams wildness in that one. So I don't know how sustainable that is. What's your read on this game?
I wanted to bet this under, and I'm still very tempted by it, because I don't know if you could, off the top of your head, if you could tell me where you had the Jets ranked just 1-32 on defense before the season started. I know it's much lower than where I have them now.
I had them around 24-ish.
Yeah. They have legitimately shot, and it's one of those things too where a team that starts, it can be high or low, and usually it's high, and it's due to injuries that some team moves heavily like this in one way or the other with the offense or defense. But usually I can't do it off a couple weeks. Like, all right, maybe it was matchups, maybe the scheme has changed and the offense has got to catch up a little, and this is how you beat the Jets defense. But it's been long enough now where I'm fine just saying this Jets defense is very much above average and into the good, maybe great category at certain points with certain matchups. I think they have a good coaching staff. I think they've added some nice pieces. And this coverage unit is going to be able to shut down a lot of what we see from this Minnesota offense through the air. And it pains me. And I think that's where I'm stuck. I'm Drewed. I get Drewed. And what I mean by that is when you have an awards bet, it gets in your head and it makes you, because ideally my best case scenario is Justin Jefferson, 300 yards, 7 touchdowns, and every catch against with Sauce Gardner falling down, and maybe he also poops his pants during the game. And then
he gives up football like Antonio Brown.
He just quits, and then he quits. That's my best case scenario, because I have some Tariq Woolen at a bigger price. And I have, obviously, JJ Offensive Player of the Year. I don't see it going that way. It's a good defense. And then at the same time, Mike White looked great, but I don't know if you went and looked at some of the names of the players that were starting on the Bears defense. This Vikings defense is not good.
Yuck.
But this Vikings, there's picture this is like a Dante's Inferno scenario. The Vikings defense stinks, but the Jets are the bottom of that, the bottom of those rings, like the 18th level of hell. I know it doesn't go that far, but I've never read the book for real. It's like in Italian, guys.
Yeah.
Nobody's read that book for real.
No.
Don't tell me you've read that book.
No. Dante's Inferno?
Dante has not even read that book. After he wrote it, it's like, Jesus, this is a slog.
I read Paradise Lost, which was a lot of the same sort of themes.
Yeah, that's on my bookshelf. That's one of those where I got it.
John Milton.
I'm gonna read this someday.
Oh God, no! You read that in college with a professor who tells you what's going on, because otherwise you don't know. Anyway, real quick, the Mike White experience, he gives them a better chance to make the playoffs, but I'm not buying the Jets getting in. All right, where are you?
They can get in, but right now I have it more likely that they don't.
Okay.
This is a game they have to win if they want to get in. I think if they lose this,
huge.
This is very bad for this drops them like 10% from what I have them right now.
Okay. I like the under, man. I'm going to think about this.
And then back before we got way off track with English majors and John Milton and slogs of books. It's crazy. It's not even that long of a book. You know what's a really long book? The Count of Monte Cristo. That's like 1,400 pages.
Unreadable. Yeah.
If you get the abridged version, it's a really good story. Just like, why'd you make it so long, bud? Dumas. Mike White isn't good. That's what I wanted to say. We saw this, it was a really, 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 really bad defensive unit they put out there as far as, just personnel. We could have put basically any quarterback out there and they'd have thrown it, just like Mike White did, just spinning the ball. The Bears have given up, which is fun. I love when a team actually gives up when they should. And not only that, but they've added more pieces to the IR. We'll get to the Bears eventually. I don't think Mike White is going to regress to an absolute shit pumpkin, but he's not going to be anything near what he was last week. So I like this under. I haven't played it yet, though. Somebody is bringing up the Bills have an illness going around. Yeah, I've seen that. I hate it because I've already made the bet, but we'll see how it goes.
Whatever. I mean, there's lots of that this time of year. Just drink lots of fluids, guys. Okay. I'm gonna think hard about this under. I might end up adding it or trying to maybe look for a live if because like the Jets. I feel like if the Jets score, it's gonna be their scripted stuff, and then they're gonna dry up in this one. So
I don't hate
look
that.
for
A live under.
Yeah. It feels like it might be good scripted and then go to shit. So, the Jets defense is legit. Denver, Baltimore.
It's gonna make me laugh all day.
I don't think we need to talk a ton about this side. It's obviously Ravens are pass. The
teaser
Broncos
leg
are in an absolute shit show, and this is the teaser leg of the season.
Yeah, this total's probably still 2 points too high. I feel like, oh man, it's like playing double or nothing. All right, or double up. what's the, like just winning. You won like 3 or 4 straight coin flips. When you're betting these unders and they're below 40, it doesn't matter how good the defense is and how bad the offense is. It still just takes like a couple broken plays or an interception in the wrong part of the field, and you can be dead right, and it just goes to shit on you. I've had enough. Like it's like betting soccer unders. The under, under 36, under 37.5. I've finally said I'm not so sure about it anymore. I think the Ravens actually can move the ball. And then the Ravens second half stuff kind of scares me. But yeah, this is a super teaser leg. We'll get to all of them. So
the Ravens need to get to 20 points to cover this teaser leg.
Yeah, teaser leg 1. I should be writing these down.
A good deal. Patrick, Lamar faking a quad injury to avoid the press. His agent recommended that.
Marcus Aurelius. Speaking of books,
he's of course the Roman emperor that was beloved by the Legion.
It's like a self-help book.
Yeah, he was the old man at the beginning of Gladiator. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Lamar. A situation with the Ravens front office and coaching staff is worth keeping an eye on. He's obviously not happy with the way that they have constructed this team and what they're asking him to do offensively, and the fact that the defense is blowing a lot of these close games. I feel like he is like, we're putting all of this investment on, and I feel this way because I'm a Lamar guy. I'm annoyed on his behalf that they have invested so much in this super old defense that cannot close games. And they are basically constructed, in my opinion, as an absolute stay away in the playoffs because they get killed by speed, and there's going to be just speed all throughout the AFC. So I feel like they are just a dead team walking at some point.
And I still think they can get the 1 seed.
They can get the 1 seed. They may slide to the wild card.
It feels like a 1 seed where the market's going to give them too much respect because of that, and we're going to get a really nice dog price on a better team where it's like, why, it might not even be a price we lay. It's like, I guess we're going to take the Chiefs as like plus 105 money line here. If we're going to make this pretty much a pick 'em, let's say the Chiefs start looking a little rough through the end of the year and they have to play an extra game. It's still, man, I would still have trouble seeing the market making them a dog, even on the road.
I agree. I also
Chiefs at minus 120 on the money line would feel good.
Man, the Ravens are a team that can be beat by a team that has good wide receivers. They're a team that can be beat by a team that, their defense is good but struggles against covering wide receivers, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's a recipe of a team that's going to give them hell. The Broncos are not that at all. And in fact, the Broncos are just as messy of a situation in terms of an organization as I can remember, going back to Urban Meyer, playing pocket pool, on a Thursday night, at the local watering hole. But I think realistically, Hackett is not long for this situation. They're going to need to try another coach to see if they can kind of make anything out of this. The trade and the contract they gave Russell Wilson. Wilson is washed because of the reasons we said in the preseason. Guy doesn't know how to operate, the offense in the current, NFL defensive landscape where cover 2 is the go-to, quarterback stopper. He does not have the answers for cover 2. And it's sad to see it because he has played degraded so rapidly, but he is where he is. And I don't think Baltimore is a good defense to get right against, and I don't think the Broncos have the weapons in the passing game to do it. So this is going to be bad.
If you're not a teaser guy or you can't get the right price or you feel comfortable laying it at like all my books have minus 130, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
there is a case for Baltimore first half. So Baltimore is the number 1 defense in the league scoring in the first half.
Amazing.
They are your number 1 scoring. Guess where they are second half, Drew? Throw a number out there.
23rd.
29.
Oh, yikes. Well, see that works in the favor of this staying under 2 because the only time the Broncos have ever looked good has been in their scripted portion. But that's when they had extra time to prepare for an opponent, and they really kind of brought out some good scripted shit. I will say there's been a lot of good jokes in the chat about Russell Wilson. He is such a punching bag. We're going to miss an opportunity to punch him in prime time against the Chiefs because that game got flexed out. I don't know if you saw that, but we were going to get another Russell Wilson primetime punch fest, and we don't get to. My favorite of the jokes, though, is Patrick brought up that Russell Wilson had 50% birthday party success rate, and Randy Mitchell says that's the best success rate he's had all season. I think that's true. I don't recall a game where Russell Wilson had over 50% success rate. So it has been a bad, long season. Feel for a lot of people involved over there. Defense looks like they're kind of on the verge of quitting. I don't think a matchup against the Ravens is going to help that at all. So
they have to be so frustrated. They're averaging like 12 points a game. It's been rough. So, and that's the other thing too, like you said, the second half defense is pretty bad, but the Broncos aren't the team to buck that. Like Denver, who has the worst second half offense in the league? 32nd.
It's got to be Denver.
It's the Denver Broncos scoring 5.5 points.
What?
In the second half.
Oh my God. They must. I mean, that's miserable. Wow. And it's worth noting that since Denver, with injury and with some of the trades they made, that defense isn't as good as they were.
No, it's starting to regress, and that's another reason I'm starting to shy away from the totals.
I'll tell you what, though, man.
I'm actually hoping that Baltimore just puts like 40 on them.
Yes,
these totals jump up a little. God, that would be nice,
dude. You are speaking my language. We are pulling hard for the Ravens to go absolute ham. Ravens go ham in this game because part one of this is if the Ravens look like absolute world beaters at home against the Broncos, part two is coming up next, and that is we are hoping that the Pittsburgh Steelers do not win against the Falcons.
I know that's
throw a little cold water on the Steelers here, and let's get us like Steelers +6 at home against the Ravens next week. That's what I want those. I want that number.
I want that too. I want that for you, Drew. But I want you to tell me in what world are you not thinking about chasing the steam even a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely.
On the Steelers.
Oh,
I know Terrell is him, but other than that, the Falcons defense is still very shoddy. And truthfully, in that game, that primetime game, Kenny Pickett, he didn't airmail as much as he used to.
No.
And the guys who are getting separation, he was delivering the ball at least where they needed to, where it needed to be 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like he was making some decent throws. That Pickens throw was good.
Yeah.
He looked a little rough in the second half, but
he didn't have a lot of opportunities in the second half. He barely had the ball. Yeah.
On the road is a little different here.
Well, this is another. So basically, I've seen it too many times not to be concerned about this spot for Pittsburgh, and not just Kenny Pickett, and not just the Tomlin, the defense, everybody. Like you got Ravens on deck next week. You just won a game that you were dogs in freaking prime time. You did it with some incredible, a great start, and then your defense showed up. Like that, these guys are feeling good about themselves. There's a lot of momentum with this team, and they may win. They may beat the Falcons, but I've seen it too many times where a team coming off of that kind of a win with this kind of a game on deck, just like everybody shows up and has their bad game. Like there's just brain fart city. And I've seen it enough, and I want no part of it. And the fact that it's steamed across Pick'em, we kind of expected this when we talked about it on Monday, I think. Steelers were like +2. And it flipped to them as favorites now. It's not a huge swing, but it's you're buying a little bit of the top here with the Steelers.
Yeah,
you're selling the bottom a little bit on the Falcons.
And that's where I respect the people that bet the Steelers on the money line or +1, 1.5, whatever you got early. Mm-hmm. The Steelers steam is correct at this point. The number's getting close to where it should be. And guess what, guys? If it is Steelers -1.5. You have another teaser leg. I'm adding it. I was gonna write in that book. I feel bad
Falcons,
writing in a book. I'm writing on the back of a business card. I can't find my notebook.
Yeah.
If you ever go to Appliance Village, Randy was a guy.
Donahue. Yeah.
Honestly, he knew his shit.
Yeah.
So that's my third teaser leg so far. There might be a giant round robin this week.
This is like there's like 8, dude. All right. The first one's already home. Steelers as on Monday. We talked about this. that was a nice one. I don't have any more thoughts. I don't have any more thoughts on that other than I am going to. It's going to take something bad to happen to TJ Watt for me to come off of wanting to take the points with the Steelers at home next week.
Yeah.
Something bad's gonna have to happen.
Tennessee,
we'll
Philly.
leave it at that. God, another good game to talk about. I don't think we were really fairly critical of some of the in-game decision because like. The Titans are so well coached and they have exceeded expectations so regularly under Vrabel that he just gets like blown like on the regular for his ability to kind of get a group of men up and playing hard. But man, some of his in-game decision making is just like, what is this guy doing? And in a game like this that should be kind of competitive and you're taking on an Eagles team that is, there are some things about them that, look like they're leaking a little bit of water, and in theory, you match up really well against them on both sides of the ball. I feel like coaching could, in-game coaching, decision-making in particular might be the key variable in this one. So I didn't take the Titans in the points, but God, this is a good matchup for Tennessee.
It is too. And, I was excited about some of the moves the Eagles made to shore up their their rush defense, their run defense. It hasn't gone as good as I'd hoped. With some early success, but now over the past couple weeks, this run defense is not as good as what we had hoped for. I know they might get their guy back, and what we saw last week, if you have at least one Superman like a DJ Reader who can make some big plays and snuff some runs out early, and then you turn it into a game where they have to throw a little more, it's possible. But I think the Titans are able to run. I think Henry is able to run in this defense. Yeah. And they're not leaking a lot of oil. It's a small drip. It's still a very good team. They've won 10 damn games.
Sure.
They haven't left a lot in doubt other than, the actual game they lost and then the Colts game. But this is a team that down the stretch, they've shown a little reluctance to really lean on their quarterback when they absolutely need to, when they're going to need to in the playoffs. So I'm reticent to be an Eagles guy right now. And it's fun. I mentioned this yesterday when I talked to somebody. I said, man, every year we have this where some team starts hot and like, oh man, they're just going to win the AFC or NFC or whichever one. And then it always happens. They come back to earth a little and a couple other teams pop their head in. So I'm glad Dallas and San Francisco are playing really high level football right now, because it's the NFC playoffs are going to be fun. It's funny, like the Vikings are probably like the 5th best team in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to watch this game.
AJ Brown revenge game. Duh.
Oh, yeah, nice little spot for him. Titans. Also, really weren't the Titans' inability to get pressure last week against the Bengals was surprising. If they give the Eagles all kinds of time, then Brown is going to have a hell of a game. Smith's going to have a hell of a game. Hurts is going to look damn good. Eagles are going to make their team total. I'm kind of leaning towards over 44.5 here. Doesn't look like we're going to have anything significant weather-wise, but let me double check the most recent call. If the Titans get 20 points in this game, this thing flies over, I feel like.
We're
in good shape.
I worry about both defenses. Because if the Eagles truly can't stop the run and Titans get it going, and we're starting to see something, this rookie who missed part of the beginning of the season, and it was like, shit, they traded away AJ Brown, and then their replacement rookie is not playing, so they have no receivers. You have Westbrook Akini is the one. Yeah. You're starting to get some things going through the air. This is not a bad offense. So I don't hate it.
The deep dive Discord guys are all over the first half over, which apparently is 22. I feel like the Eagles could get that by themselves in the second quarter.
They're still one of your best first half scoring teams. I mean, It's been a thing. In fact, they're
18
18.6 points per game in the first half for the 11-game sample we have.
Yeah.
18.6.
Papa Cal's, what's my fair total in this one? I made it 45.5. So I got an edge of value to the over, but I usually kind of, if it's not a meaningful point, which 45 is not that meaningful, I usually pass these. But I'm interested. Let's keep moving to Jacksonville, Detroit. Another interesting game and another long teaser for a home dog. Yeah. You can take the Lions out past 7. And I can tell you what, like the
total's a little high for some folks' taste.
But tell me if there's
variant for my taste.
Tell me if there's a team you'd rather need a backdoor than the Detroit Lions. I don't know that there is one. Tell me that there's a team you would rather take a swing at as a road favorite than the Jacksonville Jaguars coming off a huge win. I don't think there is one. Like, this is Lions are pass at 1, but Lions teased past 7 is just sweet. It's a sweet.
If Jags money continues to show and we get this 1.5, this is a teaser leg that I know it doesn't fit the Wong criteria of the total, but the Lions are at home. The Lions have been, just how Amon-Ra looked last week. I like the Lions in this spot. I'm close to just playing them straight up because as much as, we really, really saw a nice second half from Trevor Lawrence. We've seen a lot of nice second halves against this Baltimore defense. That's a get right after halftime for anybody. And he just hasn't shown me enough for the full season to make me think that's what we're going to get week in, week out from here on, forward. And this defense for Jacksonville has been kind of disappointing. So
yeah, I should correct myself. I didn't realize this came back down to 1. I hit this hard when it was at 1.5.
It's kind of bounced.
I think we'll see it again. Bookmaker does not want to go to a pick like some of the other market players. So I think that probably is staying at 1, if not going back to 1.5. Okay. Lions.
When does Jamo come back? Not this week.
No, extra rest, close. Extra time to prepare for this game. And then I haven't heard an update on Okuda. He home? He coming back, or is he still?
I didn't think so.
Not looking good. Okay. Well, they could use some more coverage help, especially if Trevor Lawrence is cooking all of a sudden. But either way, I think the Lions are alive. I think this is.
Actually, you know what? Dan Campbell says he's optimistic.
On Okuda?
Jonah Jackson, I think he's a lying piece of shit. I don't think Jonah Jackson's playing. So it sounds like Okuda is, but that seems. That's the other problem for the Lions is they are really banged up in an offensive line. They gave up a ton of pressure. That was one of their strengths coming into to the season, missing essentially their top 4 guards. They were starting some real backups, and it showed in a game that they covered. It was a big price, but they did cover that price for you if you took them on your Turkey Day meal. But yeah, no action for me in this one unless I do end up teasing it. On to my New York Giants.
Another interesting game to talk about.
Yeah.
Giants. If the Giants are 2.5 point dogs to the Commanders at home, then they are going to be dogs the rest of the season. And 7-2 would then, if the market is correct, turn into 7-10. All that said, I like the Giants in this spot. I think this is Giants or pass. I don't think you can lay 2.5 with the Commanders on the road, even though they do have a handful of advantages matchup wise. Giants, of course, are dealing with a number of injuries in the secondary, another number of injuries in the offensive line. But if the Cowboys couldn't exploit that, really, are the commies going to exploit that? I mean, this is another decent Wong taking the Giants out to 8.5, and I think realistically, you're out on that. You're not taking the Giants out.
No, I'm offended by the word decent.
Oh,
okay. This
realistically,
is
the Giants
stone
need
cold banger.
I think the Giants need. I think the math works out that the Giants need 13 points. because the market is basically expecting the Commanders to get 21-22. So you need 13, 14 points out of the Giants to get this wall home.
Low total.
Yeah.
Home team.
Yeah.
I already think the market's slightly off in the beautiful part of the Wong zone. And it's a Commanders team who's just getting by on the skin of their teeth.
Oh yeah, sure.
This is everyone wants to rag on Minnesota for having a bit of a falsified record. You're a false prophet. What's the line? He makes him yell, and there will be blood. God is a myth, and I'm a false prophet.
I can tell you what, like the Commanders.
Yeah, I don't. The Commanders have been, like I said, they've been getting by, kind of just skating by. Like, hey, we could have lost to the Falcons, but we're a road favorite.
You know what the Commanders look like to me? The Commanders look like Dallas Light, right? Like their strength is on the defensive side is largely the D line, the pass rush, particularly the way Payne is playing and Allen are playing out of their minds right now. Like those guys are great. They have a bunch of good weapons on offense. The quarterback's kind of Heineke's not the long-term answer there, and I don't think he's worthy of laying points on the road. He's been good. He's been capable, but he also does make mistakes for sure. And Giants are ball hockey. Giants are well coached. I think realistically, the fact that the Giants just played the Cowboys and faced Cowboys proper, and now that they get to place Cowboys light, and the fact that they get extra time to prepare for this, the fact that their dogs at home, Meadowlands is a tough place to play. This has like Giants win 10-3 kind of feel to it to me. I think the 40.5 is probably a little too high. I know there's not really weather in the forecast, which is really the only way to get involved in unders in the Meadowlands. But this is I think this is going to be a potential upset here, and I think Giants as a teaser leg. I mean, the reason I wasn't like decent, I said decent instead of solid, is just because I think Giants money line is a play, really. But the injuries are kind of scaring me off.
If I wasn't playing this teaser, I'd probably have Giants plus 120. And yeah, the weather, as Mickey Hill's pointing out, I checked this a little earlier too. I looked at some weather reports for a few places. Looks fine. So teaser leg for me, that is teaser leg number 5. I'm gonna have to find the guy's name.
Ooh, Patrick brings up a great point. The old teaser leg of the century was Green Bay in England versus the Giants, and that was a bad loss. But I hang that mostly on the Green Bay was not properly rated at that time by the market. Yeah. And that was kind of a similar problem with a lot of the early season teaser disasters.
CJ Sanchez, deep dive listener. He's a Madrid fan. He's from Miami, and he enjoys Messi memes. Apparently, that's most of his feed.
Awesome.
I like Messi memes too. He is. I'm looking at you, CJ. That is my 5th teaser leg so far. On to the second half. I do have a quick ad read. This is brought to you by the Deep Dive. For Christ's sakes, hit the thumbs up button on YouTube, guys. Thank you. We don't ask for much, but if you enjoy this community, enjoy this chat, enjoy the other guys talking some football with you, please hit the thumbs up. And we're on to the second half of the slate. There's a couple of real skippable games in here. And this is one of them. For me, there's enough things to bet on. There are enough football games to bet on. There are enough other things going on that I don't need to try to – essentially, I'm wagering money one way or the other on, is Deshaun Watson good after 18 months off? Is he rusty? And truthfully, like I feel like if this were a better coaching staff,
yeah,
I would be comfortable knowing what I have, because a good coaching staff here would be like, well, shit, this guy hasn't played in a while, right? No. Is there anything else we could do on offense? Well, we do have these 2 all-world running backs that we could use and just kind of take the pressure off him like he's a rookie, or, like he's a guy who's coming off injury and not put a lot of pressure on him. That's what a good coaching staff would do. I'm not so sure Cleveland is good coaching staff all the time. And I worry that they're going to put pressure on Watson.
Or he's going to take it into his own hands, trying to prove something.
Himself. Yeah,
trying to prove something.
I want no part of this game, even though the Texans are the biggest goddamn fade in the world right now.
Especially because they're running if you put Jacoby Brissett out there and you're laying 7, I'm looking at that because I'm like the running game the running defense is so bad.
I know, Drew. I kind of forgot that. I forgot to add that as the second part of my point. Said like, if you want to take the pressure off Watson, hey, let's run the ball. Let's lean on Chubb.
Yeah. Give Chubb 30 touches. What are we? Why bother? Why even get?
It's the perfect defense to do it against.
Cute,
and then they just win by 20. I don't know. So I just don't know what the Browns' game plan is. If I see something live, I probably will be betting this team live. But for those reasons, there's just a big level of uncertainty that I don't want to be betting into in this one.
Yeah. This is probably a decent look at like a second half overish if this is like a low scoring first half, just because of the emotions and the rust, all that shit. Like if it takes a while for things to really get going, then I'm, and the total drops, I'd probably play an over because Browns defense still can't defend the run very well either. So Texans are going to lean heavily on Pierce. He could bust a couple. So.
And this is weird, too, that Watson's accusers are at attendance. I don't think that phases him because they got a suite. If they wanted to do something, they needed to rent out the front row behind the bench. Like, make him look at him. That would phase him. Getting a suite does nothing.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy, or at least with his sort of indignity. He doesn't give a shit. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think he cares. Weird, though, that... weird that I'm laughing at Dan's joke. Weird. Yeah, it was just weird that the NFL
was saying lean on the Chubb and take the pressure off. It was really difficult to not make a joke. So Green Bay at Chicago. Here's a joke. The Chicago Bears roster currently, Fields is still questionable. I don't think that's a true questionable. That's we can't say he's doubtful because the injury's not that bad, but we're certainly you would think the new regime of a new GM and a new head coach shouldn't be playing with fire as far as, hey, we should maybe try to get this guy hurt, huh? That'd be fun long term.
No,
now that we know he's kind of good, and there were some 4s yesterday. I played a 4. I'd play this up to 8. I don't know, like in what world is his defense not just get smoked by Mike White did it? Why can't Christian Watson? And it sounds like Rodgers is fine. Yeah,
Rodgers has called his own number. Doesn't mean he's going to be 100% and he's going to be performing well. He hasn't performed well about 100% all season, as far as I can tell you. He hasn't had many standout games even, really. And he came out of that game against Philly, so it's obviously a non-trivial thing he's dealing with. I would look for I agree with you, like laying the Packers is no problem, but especially if this is the Trevor Siemian show, then you're really not worried. Packers defense has been atrocious, so if it is Fields and Fields is actually fine, then Bears might be a little spooked all game. I think what I want to talk about here, instead of going on and on about the Bears and the Packers, or the Bears even, because the Bears are best served by losing this game. Make no mistake. But the Packers are not well served by Aaron Rodgers playing.
No, I was about to mention what Dan said. Should Rodgers be playing? No.
Yes.
The answer is no.
The answer is no. From an organizational standpoint, no. There's no reason.
He has enough sway there, which probably isn't a good look, that he just says, I'm the starter, and he's going to start. Can you imagine that he would be, if you told him we don't want you to start because you're kind of dinged up and we want to see what Jordan Love is?
Yeah.
Like, he would be 7 seconds later, he'd be in the other room on his phone on McAfee's show, just raising a stink.
Of course. Stop me if you heard this one. Aaron Rodgers is doing something that is detrimental to the organization. When have you ever heard that? That's never happened before. No, this is like a weird pattern with this guy. Like there are, I could go on and on for 10 minutes about the reasons organizationally why it is much, much better for them to start Love for infinity reasons.
And that's where,
even if you are going to stick with Aaron Rodgers and he's going to be the guy for you next year, like, number one, keep him healthy. Number two, get Love some reps so that another team might trade for him. Now you have actual equity because Love's, is going to be a cheap contract for someone year 4, year 5.
Yeah, at this point, you've passed on his rookie contract.
Yeah,
essentially using that, and that is the hopefully what happens here. Not only for my bet, but just for all involved, is they're up by like 28 at half, like we saw in the Dolphins game last week. Yeah, and we do get some Jordan Love time. I hope Jordan Love plays the fourth quarter at least.
Yeah,
I want to see more of him. He didn't look bad.
No, Rodgers playing he risks greater injury, which means he'll be a harder chip to trade if you decide you want to trade him. And you get no development. You get this is extremely valuable development potential for Love. If you're going to keep him or trade him, this is huge. Yep. And now he's not getting it for reasons that I think is, only so that Aaron Rodgers can make your draft pick worse because you're not making the playoffs. It's 2 or 3% chance at best. And so, this is selfish. It's stupid. It's perfectly It's perfectly Aaron Rodgers. None of this is surprising. And I would think if I was the coach or the GM of this team, I would literally be like, wow, the nightmare continues. This guy continues to fuck us. And they bear some of the blame because they drafted Love in the first place. And that started this weird cycle.
It's been a weird few drafts for them these last 10 years.
Yeah.
So I played the Packers. I still don't hate them at 5.5. I was happy to find a cheapish 4. At this point, I'm not sure if it matters until it gets to 6. All right. I bet the Packers. I believe.
Okay. All right. Good luck. I hope you get the Trevor Siemian call.
Yeah. If it's Trevor Siemian versus anybody, and they continue to not only trade away defensive players, but now we've had to put another player, Eddie Jackson, on the IR.
Yeah.
They promoted a rookie safety onto the team. Darnell Mooney is now on the IR. This roster doesn't even look like the bad team that started the year, which, oh buddy, under 6.5. I thought that had gotten mushed.
Yeah.
So I don't. Wasn't one I was happy to bet, but once I actually adjusted, I'm like, why isn't this 8? It's silly. Even on the road. Simeon,
because I think that's the question. If it's Fields, then this becomes a 28-27 kind of game.
I wanted to move on, but
actually, you know what? Here's what you do.
Bigger malpractice, Drew. What's the bigger malpractice? Rodgers being just a baby back bitch and demanding that he's the starter, or Eberflus putting Fields in.
Oh man,
it's Fields. It's
Fields for sure.
It's Fields because he's the future and he's good. He's good enough where they can build around him.
I was going to tell you. So the wind is going to be tickling 20, but it's diminishing through the game. It looks like.
Luckily the Packers have a couple running backs.
Yeah, right. What I was going to say was if you do get word it's Fields, if he calls his own number, because he's apparently got the leader in the locker room and really has got a hold of the team. If they let him call his own number, I think I don't think you buy out of your Packers. I think you just play the over because 43.5 then becomes a touchdown too low. So
this is Sam saying stupid shit. But is it?
Is it?
I mean,
well, they're still going to be. It's the typical Bears hype cycle is going to be they're going to draft and add next year, but it's not going to be enough. People are going to be it's going to be a year too early. People are going to be on them a year too early, and then the following year would be the year.
When Lamar Jackson won the MVP,
yeah, he was on an all-star team.
Yeah, I was going to say
the whole team was incredible. Yeah, that
was a good team. Because he kind of has he can run for 100 yards and he has a bit of an arm, but it's just unless they make a really big splash in free agency for probably a tackle and a wide receiver, the roster you can't fix the roster quick enough for him to get it. Yeah. But man, I don't hate it. If it's 120-1, I'm a little tickled.
The Ravens offensive line that year was anchored by a Hall of Famer in Yanda and an All-Pro in Staley.
That was the thing. Like that line was so good, and they had a couple receivers. Here's something. Maybe offensive player
Stanley,
of the year.
Ronnie Spinsolo. Ronnie Stanley? Staley? I can't remember. Anyway,
Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah,
offensive
Stanley.
player of the year. That's not a bad shot.
Yeah. Okay.
You could give that to somebody whose team is like 8-9.
Sure.
Because he had like 1,400 yards rushing and threw for 30 touchdowns.
I'll have to look at who the Bears play schedule-wise next year, but the Lions are going to be competitive. The Vikings are going to be competitive. Packers may be competitive. So it's going to be tough for them to really make a huge leap win total-wise. Let's keep moving. 2. Seattle and the Rams.
Teaser.
Another beautiful teaser leg. We could take Seattle down past 3 in a game where the total is 41.5. We basically need the Seattle defense to hold Bryce Perkins or John Wolford under 17 points in this one, which even as bad as they were last week, which was bad, I'm okay giving them a pass. And I think realistically with the coaching and the development of the young players, this defense shows up for this game and plays well. Geno Smith, by far the better quarterback. And the Rams in general, no Aaron Donald, no Cooper Kupp. Matt Stafford is done. This is a rough go of a season for the Rams. Worst title defense that I can remember, probably in the last 20 years, maybe more.
Yeah, I mean, it was... And teams didn't used to do it this way, like the all out.
Yeah, they built a very fragile system, and it fucking broke.
The absolute, this is something we've mentioned for a couple of years. Even the year that they won the Super Bowl, prior to that season, when we did our preview, we said like this team is like 2 injuries away from being 500. It's like if they stay healthy, they could probably go to the playoffs and make some noise. And by the time they were in the playoffs, we were Rams backers.
Yeah.
Because they had stayed healthy and they'd also added OBJ and another, was it Von? Was that the same year they added
Von Miller? Yeah.
So you had 2 really high end pieces on both ends and you don't get hurt. It's something. And I guess the Rams getting a resistance at 8, Randy, is maybe just, is Seattle truly, 9-10 points better than anybody on a neutral? They didn't look all that great on defense against the run.
So if you look at what happened, the market took the Rams and they took them down to the Texans.
Yeah.
And they said, we're not sure if you're worse than the Texans yet. We need one more game out of whatever you're going to try out there at quarterback. And if they're terrible, if they get blown out in this game, then they will be the 32nd best team power rated. So that's kind of the experiment that's going on right now. I don't think people really know, but I don't know who bet on the Rams at 8. I mean, best luck to them. It is still a divisional game. There are still a lot of examples of Rams picking,
and maybe that's
picking
the other
on
thing.
the Seahawks.
It's still a divisional game, a good coach. And if it's Wolford, he's not horrible. I think if I'm betting Seattle or if I have a Seattle teaser, I'm much more excited to see Perkins and Wolford.
Yeah, well, Perkins is running a one-dimensional thing anyway, so it kind of takes a lot of the pressure off your team in a lot of it.
Mike G said the Rams are basura.
Ooh,
means trash.
Trash in Spanish. Yeah, Mike G must be a España backer in the World Cup. They look good, Mike. Hopefully, he wasn't a Mexico backer. If he was, apologies. You deserved better. The question I have for you about this game, because I don't really want to cover it anymore. Kenneth Walker is still the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Did you know that?
He should be.
He should be? You say he should be. You think that's a fair favorite?
Just
is
body of work.
150 a fair price for that?
Probably not, but he should be even money. He's still his body of work. Name someone who's been that much better.
I think it's up for grabs is what I'm getting at.
No, there should be like 6 or 7 guys that, maybe 6, 3 or 4 guys that probably have a shot.
Yeah, Pierce is live. Wilson is live.
Pierce has had a couple games that have.
Yeah, but he gets to run against the Browns this week, so it's back on, and he's gonna have outgained Kenneth Walker by the end of the season. I would think. Garrett Wilson is live. Olave is live. I think Kenny Pickett might be live. If Pickett goes on a win-win-win streak.
Somebody asked that. I tend to disagree a little because he still has like 4 more interceptions and touchdowns. If you look at his stats at the end of the year and it's like, hey, it's not like the Justin Herbert stat line. Like it's a team that's not going to even sniff, relevance in their own division. And if he has more interceptions and touchdowns, a couple decent games probably isn't going to be enough.
What about
there's a good running back?
Let's pretend you just remember he won on prime time, and everybody's gushing about how much better that he has been than they thought. Right? Like the narrative has shifted on Pickett, even though his stats are basura. The narrative has shifted on Pickett that he's actually playing a lot better than I thought. And he wins in prime time against the Colts. He's got a winnable game against the Falcons. Then a game I like his matchups for his team against the Ravens. Then he's got at the Panthers, and then another primetime game against the Raiders. If he puts together a 5-game win streak there, I mean, doesn't he have all of the steam in the world coming down the home stretch?
You'd probably need Kenny Walker to have some 4 bad games.
Okay.
Walker can't have a 100-yard 2-touchdown game anywhere in there, just because he's already been kind of bookmarked, ear noted, dog-eared as the favorite by the media.
Okay. I'm not advocating it. I just wanted to hear the other side of the case.
There's a case. All the running backs who are in the race and Wilson would have to have some. None of them could have an exciting game where they have multi-touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he'd have to win 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. You know what sounds more fun? Is just betting the Steelers every week. Right? If they win those 5 games, they're going to be dogs. We know they're short favorites against Falcons. They're going to be dogs against the Ravens. They'll be short favorites at the Panthers. They're going to be probably short favorites home versus the Raiders. What about
Christian Watson? If Christian Watson's
a lot too. Yeah. I think this is up for grabs. This award is up for grabs. I don't think Walker should. He should be plus 150, not minus 150.
It's up for grabs because of the time left. Mm-hmm. But betting into the current market is not a reflection on actual win probability like you can do with a super liquid market like an NFL side.
Good point.
Sometimes it's more of liability and, hey, do we really want more Kenny Walker money at plus money? Or should we just put it, it's like when we spoke to some bookmakers, they said, sometimes you don't have to put a prop or a derivative at the price it should be at for the actual win percentage, because people will bet it anyway. And it's
right.
If people will bet this at a worse number than what we think it should hang it at, we're going to hang it at the worst number.
Put your vig in on that number. That's fine.
So I'm in a roundabout way. I'm very much agreeing with you.
Because I guess what I'm saying is I think the right bet is to be the bookmaker writing plus 150 on Kenny Walker, right? That's the right bet. But okay, so here's final thought on this. Because the Seahawks. Yes, the final thought on this is there going to be some award sharing, and does Kenny Walker get dinged because Geno Smith is going to run away with comeback player of the year, right? That race feels much more decisively in his favor. Because I think the Seattle makes the playoffs. I don't think the Giants do. Giants probably finish 8-9, 9-8, and they're 1 out of the playoffs. That's what they're trending for. Seahawks, I think, get in by the skin of their teeth, and I think that's enough for people to be like, well, we got to give them some award. Comeback player of the year, Geno Smith, congratulations. Do they give the Seahawks 2 awards?
You know what I think they do? Something unprecedented. Sirianni, out. Kevin O'Connell, kick bricks. Everybody else, pound sand. You know what we're doing? We're giving the Coach of the Year award to an offensive coordinator this year. Shane Waldron stepped right up.
Congratulations.
All right, Miami and San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then
Steven brings up a great point.
The switch to ranked choice voting should alleviate some of that, because people don't have to worry about that. They just do their ranked choice. Ranked choice voting is the right way to do every election, by the way.
That's a very, very good point, Steven. Okay. So the Seahawks can scoop multiple awards. It's not going to ding them. Okay.
This is the most fun game that I'm actually looking forward to that I probably won't even think about betting.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. What do you want to tee it up? Because I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. I've said my piece a couple of times, but I haven't really gotten all the way where I think this game goes.
Did you take this under?
I did. I took some under.
So I can get with that.
Okay.
And yeah, like it's really, really, really difficult to take a game last week that the Dolphins played and make any sort of leaps about this team based on that. It's better when you have 3 or 4 games in a row where it's like, all right, this team had to face this situation where they were a road favorite and they persevered over a team that was close to them in power rankings. And they went up against a team that was worse than them. They got down early thanks to some mistakes, and they bounced back and signal to these teams can find themselves in tough situations. They can coach their way and play their way out of them. And it's nice because all right, I think I know what this team is capable of. I know where their ceiling is. I know where their floor is. You don't learn shit from a bitch slapping of just a dead team. 30-0 at half, was it? I mean, it was an embarrassment. So it stinks to try to use that, but at the same time, probably a bit of a bonus for the Dolphins to not have to play some of the starters in the second half of prior to traveling back to McDaniel. I can throw an S because it's a possessive
apostrophe S, yeah.
McDaniel's old team, the 49ers, in the Bay. This is such a fun matchup.
Oh, it's so good.
The Armstead injury may be super, super important. I think that it's silly, one player that's not a quarterback making such a big difference, but the edge rushing that you've seen from this team over the last 5 years. We actually talked about the wide 9 on a preseason podcast one time. Not only do they have speed rushers, they have power rushers. They line these guys up kind of wide sometimes. It's not something you see all the time. It's not the same old, I'm going to line up and shade on the outside, or we're going to bring the outside linebacker and I've got to face some tough assignments here where I have to chip. They do a lot of different things, and they do it with 4 guys. They're going to get pressure. It's going to be a problem that you're banged up on the offensive line. I don't know. I think Miami struggles a little on offense. I think either team can win, but I kind of agree with you on the under now. I've gone around and around trying to make a case for both teams because I've times been like, God damn, I can't believe the Dolphins are catching outside a field goal. And then, God damn, this is such a step up in class for the Dolphins. Huge step up. They have played trash defenses now 4 consecutive games. In all 4 of those games, they scored 30 points, but they have been up against absolute nobodies. And McDaniel is an amazing he's like a offensive artist to a degree in terms of the way he's game planning. It's very cool, but he doesn't have many tricks up his sleeve that the Niners aren't going to have seen, I don't think. He's got weapons that the Niners haven't had to face in a while. Tyreek Hill and Waddle are sick combo. Sick AF. And, Tyreek Hill tends to show up for these big games. He is a big game player. Make no mistake there. So I think that, and here's the other thing that happens. So there are a lot of times when a team steps up in class, and this is what the Dolphins offense is doing. That's sort of the key narrative, I think, in this game. Huge step up in class in terms of who they're facing defensively, talent-wise. Sometimes that is you run into a brick wall, right? And sometimes that is we've been practicing interesting and unique and fun things for 4 or 5 weeks now through our bye, and we haven't really had to use them. So we have them all in our back pocket, right? And we can deploy them in this game, right? So there is I
in
guarantee.
the back.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has some stuff for this game. He may have put this together in August.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and if not in August, certainly over the last 4 weeks, they haven't had the game plan for anybody tough, right? Yeah. So, the idea that there will be fireworks and tricks and fun shit in this one, I think, is highly likely, particularly on the Dolphins side of the ball. I'm excited to see how they use Tyreek Hill. Excited to see what they do to try to mitigate the pressure, because you're absolutely right. The pressure is going to be enormous. Pass pressure, of course, we're pass rush we're talking about for the Niners against a very weak offensive line for the Dolphins here. So excited to see what happens with that matchup. But my gut is that there will be they'll have a difficult time being efficient in the red zone.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. That's kind of my fair assessment, and I lean under. The more I've looked at this, I lean me under. I haven't fired anything. I'm very excited to watch this one. Considering, I mean, it's going to be like just two TVs. It's going to be this one and the Cincinnati game. Chargers Raiders game. Like we'll get to that in a minute. I don't even know if we're going to talk about that, man. Let's
talk about the other side of the ball real quick.
While we're talking about this, if you have any questions regarding Chargers, Raiders, put them in there because I don't know what the fuck to say about that. And a couple people in the chat, because they are smart cookies here, smart enough to hit the thumbs up, you little fuckers. It is a big step up, as a couple people have pointed out, for the Niners too, as far as offense is faced.
Sure.
But they have, it's a home game. They've always done well prepping for stuff like this. Usually what's let them down as far as a Niners team over the past couple of years, it's usually been, we're just too injured, or the offense lets them down.
Right.
The defense hasn't had a lot of times where it's like the defense really let this team down. Right. When that's happened, it's been, because half of them are on the IR.
Yeah, and let's not get too over our skis here. They got toasted by the Niners. By the Chiefs. The Niners D did. A lot of those points were garbage time. They gave up a safety and a 45-yard pass when the game was completely out of hand. So Kansas City getting to 44 was a little bit on the fluky side.
And it's Kansas City. You get a pass there.
And it's Kansas City. And on top of that, a lot of those guys weren't healthy at that time. Bosa was just coming back off an injury. If he even played, I don't know. I think he did, but he was coming back off injury. Hufanga was coming off injury. They were beat the F up in that game defensively, and now they are they're at higher, greater strength. Coming off a shutout of the Saints. This team is clicking right now. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. The Niners offense, I'm worried about scoring in this one as well. I don't rate the Dolphins better than an average defense, but they have played a tough schedule, and they do have a couple of very talented players, particularly on the pass rush. I think they can give the Niners offensive line fits. I think they can sack Jimmy G, and I think Jimmy G's mobility is going to be a huge question after taking that shot in the knee at the end of that game against the Saints. So no Elijah Mitchell in this one. It's going to be just the entire offense is going to have to run through CMC. Devo is not 100% at all. Jimmy G's connection to Brandon Ayuk has gotten better this year, but it's still not that great.
I did not expect this much out of Ayuk. Ayuk has been great.
Yeah.
It's been small doses sometimes, but those small doses have been highly pivotal plays. Every time it seems like it's a big third down or a touchdown, or it's an important play to set up something. So all right. I haven't been this jacked for a game since last week.
So the perfect type of game to play under. Well, you're so excited to see what happens.
But just the chess match. I enjoy that as well.
Yeah, sure. And CMC takes an 80-yarder for a touchdown, and then on the next drive, Tyreek Hill's throwing 50-yard passes to Jalen Waddle, and we're like, oh, okay, it's one of these games. That's also entirely on the table. This is not a very strong play to the under. I just my fare is 44.5 here. So not huge, but there's some space there to and under, and very excited for that game. I don't think there's anything else we can cover really.
Chargers have a horrific run defense, so they're going on the road to face the league leader in rushing, who is hungry for a contract. Yeah, and that's the simple handicap with respect to Mr. Chernoff for stealing the name of his podcast. But the simple handicap on this is the Raiders should be able to get what they want on the ground. Everybody has been. It's at home. I know they're not a terribly consistent team, and that's why I can't bet them. The Chargers are the better team here. They're a road favorite for a reason. They have a much better quarterback. They're starting to get some weapons healthy. They have a pretty good running back on their own, and he's actually better as a receiving back than most of the league. So they are a team I could also look at backing, but they have also been wildly inconsistent. And for that reason, I don't really love taking a side in either one of these. And then truthfully, the total as well. Like both of these teams, their ceiling is 40 points, both sides. Just we knock a couple off for Jacobs, and they're in the red zone, or he's scoring on another long player. He just marches down the field on him, and the Raiders getting 21 a half, and the Chargers as well against the secondary. They have receiving weapons at work. Like but then we went out and what did the Raiders do against the Saints? What did the Chargers do the last couple weeks? We've had some very off-putting performances by both teams. Yeah. There's no consistency, even against teams they should beat. I don't want to bet this game when I have, especially in a week where there's better things to watch. There's better things to bet.
Do you know how
if
hard
anybody
it is
in the chat can make a case for something here, I'd love to hear it.
Do you know how hard it is to manually enter round robin teasers, Andy?
Oh,
it's
awful.
Fucking hard. So
this total is a bit high again.
It's a bit high, but
they're
Raiders
plus 1.5.
Qualify. You know how easy it was to be like, God, I gotta eliminate one of these because it's just too much.
This is
Raiders. This is the one I passed.
I'll get at the end of the thing. I'll give my teaser power rankings.
Oh, that's exciting.
Which ones I like the most.
Oh,
so no bet, but it is kind of in the high end total of the Wong zone for the Raiders. They are a home team and they have a electric running back right now. So
that's a nice mismatch for them. Okay, let's move on. KC Cincy. Rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. I lost a lot of money on that game because I thought the Chiefs were going to win by 100 million. They ended up losing in overtime after they had that game so well in hand. I'm still looking for answers about what the hell happened, besides the fact that Lou Anarumo is the most outstanding halftime adjustment maker at the defensive side of the football we've ever seen, because it was a tale of two teams with the Chiefs offense in the first half and the second half of that game. Chiefs defense also got pushed around pretty good at the key moments, high leverage situations at the end of that game. And in the regular season, Chiefs defense got beat like a damn drum by the Bengals. The kind of the key performance for Jamar Chase that locked up his Rookie of the Year campaign came against these Chiefs in the game that clinched them the AFC North last year. So a lot of history between these two teams recently. Joe Burrow has been amazing in the absence of Chase. He's been everything you would want to see from a quarterback taking a year 3 step forward after an incredibly successful playoff run. And, pretty clear that outside of a little bit of concern about the offensive coaching staff holding him back, that he is going to be a long time solid quarterback in this league. Mahomes is that guy. We all know it. MVP favorite for a reason. Andy Reid is calling plays like a maestro right now. So why in the world did I play an under, Andy? Why did I make this 51?
It's a big total. I actually lean over with Chase in.
Okay.
There's a long tail to Chiefs put it 65% of the points they're going to score in the first half.
Okay.
And all the Anarumo adjustments in the world don't matter to the Chiefs staying under 30. Yeah. If the Chiefs are at 24 at half, all the adjustments in the world ain't going to keep them under 30 for the most part. And then at that point, this game is going over the total. And as well as they've looked without Chase, I'm scared about this team with him because they seem to. It was almost good for them, I think, as far as finding ways to get Higgins and Boyd and the tight ends and the running backs really involved. Now that's more of a, hey, that's something handy we have, but we also have another. Because it's not like these other guys are just possession receivers. Another deep threat, another over-the-top threat, a speedster. One of these guys, it's all these LSU guys making all these nasty catches all the time, guys. So I told myself, I said, if Chase doesn't play this game, I might play the Chiefs.
Okay.
And if he does, I'd probably play this over. So but to be fair, me and you going head to head the last couple of weeks is 0-2 to my side.
That was all luck though. The Bengals Chiefs under case is pretty straightforward. Bengals have DJ Reader back. That is kind of the key piece that they needed to have a more balanced pass defense. In fact, last week we saw a defense from the Bengals we haven't seen in a while, which was them getting pressure with 3. They're yeah.
Here's the thing. That works. That helps a lot because that was a great matchup. Like, hey, we have DJ Reader and we can stop the run, and they have Derrick Henry. Well, there's not a team in the league who acquires fewer of their first downs by the run than the Chiefs.
Yeah, most of those are scrambles, probably.
Yeah, it's damn near 80% of their first downs come by pass. So having a good run defense isn't key to success to stopping a team like the Bills, like the Chiefs, where they're going to just say, well, that's fine. Like, let's see what run defense does against Travis Kelce in the seam. Like,
so
that's
the
he's
thing.
Still a god.
That's the thing that I like, though, which is that they can rush 3 with Reader on the field and not be vulnerable to getting gashed in the running game. Right.
That might work. That might work against the Tannehill. Good luck. Good luck letting. So they might get some pressure, but when you have 3 guys rushing and you're running away from pressure on one, the odds that there's some other guy just waiting for you decrease by 25%.
Well, what are the other 8 guys doing? They're not worried about covering Tyreek Hill running down the field.
Coverage. It's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, your argument makes sense for 31 teams.
Yeah.
You give him, 5-10 seconds to run around back there. Those guys are trained. Those guys have that ingrained that they know this is my quarterback. He's constantly doing this. I come back to the ball. Like it's not something that's new to this team where, hey, Patrick Mahomes might make something happen after he's flushed out of the pocket. Like, their guys are always coming back to the ball. They're constantly moving. It's hard to cover guys for 10 seconds.
Okay.
Especially when I don't think it's a great, like, yes, it's a good defense. It's going to play well. It's not some lockdown fucking matchup.
Well, it was in the second half of the AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
I don't know what the Bengals. I don't know why the Bengals do anything else besides plan A, right?
And that's where I think I may just be on this first half over.
Okay. Interesting. You think that the Chiefs have the answers? They figured it out. They're going to be able to solve the riddle that flummoxed them when their season was on the line last year.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to see it to believe it.
I don't think this team isn't as good right now as it was playing at the end of last year.
Okay, that's fair. I agree with that. I think the Bengals defense is going to be very, very stout in this game. Maybe they hold. No, I think they can hold the Chiefs under 30. And I think the Chiefs defense matches up pretty well against the Bengals right now, even with Chase back and with sort of the wrinkles that they have implemented. I like Chris Jones a lot. I think Chris Jones is playing at a level that we did not see. We certainly didn't see it in playoffs from him last year. He is playing out of his mind good right now. And I think he's probably, he's sort of the key ingredient to being a differentiating factor in this game, getting after, Joe Burrow. And, the Niners D and the pass rush they have, and as good as that is, they still can't finish as often as you would think. But Chris Jones is a finisher. My fucking goodness. Like, every single time that guy gets pressure, he completes the sack. I think he's going to have a nice day here against Burrow. And again, this is another game where I think you see red zone struggles for both of these teams just based on how well each defense is playing right now. So 52.5 is too high. I make it 51. Not a huge edge, but again, a little skin in the game where you're expecting a bunch of points between two high flying offenses. And I think the total is just a little too high.
Yeah. All right.
So
obviously they flexed Matt Ryan into Sunday night. and to be fair to the other team, the Cowboys have a very strong fan base.
We are laughing.
They are a absolute bandwagon chuckle fuck team where, I like the Cowboys because I'm 36 years old and they were good in the early 90s when I bought my first starter jacket. And for my 12th birthday, I got a Cowboys football. Like, yes, we get it. You're a Cowboys fan living in goddamn Nevada, like, or wherever you are. You're not from Dallas.
You're a Cowboys fan playing for the goddamn Lakers. We get it.
Yeah. So either way, it is a very popular fan base. I understand part of this. And another, just as if he didn't solidify it yet, an offensive line for Micah Parsons to absolutely stamp down being number one on the ranked choice list for every defensive player of the year voter. He should have a big day. The spreads, It's not a spread. I don't like betting big favorites. It feels like, I mean, how many of those in the last few weeks that have just been like, shit, this is coming down right to it?
Everyone.
And yeah, all of them last week. And that's not the kind of stress I need in my life. But seeing what they did at Minnesota makes me feel like this offense could just put it on them. This will be a live betting game for me for sure. Obviously, we'll bet the second half. All the matchups make this out to be like, yeah, this Cowboys team's 8 to 10 points better on a neutral. This number could probably be even bigger. There's not a big difference between 10.5, 11.5, 12, but if this kept going, it wouldn't surprise me. I know we've seen 11s. Maybe there has been a little bit of buybacks. Not a long teaser leg. You're right, Donaldson, but taking it over the 10 and the 7, it's kind of a secondary. We'll put it down as a secondary one.
Secondary tease. Yeah.
Secondary teaser. Emergency. Break glass in case of emergency. I need to place another teaser.
I'm not betting this game. I don't really care about the Colts. I'm mad that this is a primetime game. I'm going to use my time to comment on the Jeff Saturday coaching debacle at the end of last game. Did he make some mistakes? Yes. Was it a perfect coaching effort? No. Does he deserve to be out there? Probably not. But boy, oh boy, were there a lot of people losing their shit over how bad that just, how do you not take a timeout? I'm smart enough to take a timeout there. But like,
I want to, who's allowed to take timeouts? Players on the field.
Sure.
Like,
sure.
I don't know if
That's why you got Matt Ryan in there instead of Sam Ehlinger, presumably.
And that maybe it was always a, with Reich, I take the timeouts. I'm fine because I don't remember Reich bungling timeouts that much, I guess.
I don't know.
I just thought he was fine with it. So maybe it was a Matt Ryan, like he just assumed the sideline had taken a timeout, and then after they didn't, he just assumed, well, shit, we need to hurry up and go then.
Yeah.
I can't believe he didn't just like that's so Ravens. That's funny.
One of the things I think might have happened. It looked from the field, from the angle where Saturday was on the field, it kind of looked like Matt Ryan made the first, and they spotted him where he started the dive.
Yeah,
and I think
how you do it.
And I think he might have thought, oh, this is a 4th and inches. Just give it. Let's run a quick play. Let's not stop the clock and let the defense reset. Let's just run a quick play to JT. We'll get the first down, and then we'll take a timeout, and we'll have a fresh set of downs and 2 more timeouts in 30 seconds. Like, I think that was the thinking, but then because it was actually 3rd and 3 and they lost a yard and they had to take the timeout, then it looks much worse. Like you let all that time run out. Now you have a 4th, and the game is in the balance on one play, and then the play call itself on 4th down was horrible. It was a joke. But again, you know what? Like, all of that was predictable. You know why? Because you were up against the Steelers and their unbelievable pass rush, and it was a must-throw situation. And so you were never really going to have a very high likelihood of success on that drive and on that play. And so it was only a matter of time until that drive
I was impressed with Matt Ryan throughout the game.
Oh yeah, second half especially.
Yeah, like how he was running the ball. Like, his passing got better, but that's to say, like, it was better than 0. He was 0. He was negative. His passing was horrible to start the game. So him getting to a, baseline level of throwing the ball and then using his legs on 3 or 4 plays was kind of fun. Old school Matt Ryan. They still didn't win. Had a chance at it, but this is somebody asked, what do you make this total?
44. What about you?
I'm pretty close. I think I'm 43, but it's a wide distribution.
27 to 17 is my most likely score, and it's actually pretty highly modal.
I have a wide distribution to the long side of the Cowboys scoring, as many points as the total is too. Like that's the problem with this total. I think I lean a little bit under, but there's a lot of scenarios where the Cowboys just continually be successful in the red zone against this defense. That was the big part of what we saw last week was, hey, the Pittsburgh's kind of moving the ball all over their ass, but they're kicking short field goals at the end of every drive. Dallas is a lot better in the red zone. Like if Dallas does what Pittsburgh did in the first half, Dallas is up 28-0.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly this total doesn't look so good anymore. So
yeah, if Dallas does what they did in the second half against the Giants too, by the way, they found their freaking form big time.
Yeah,
that could carry into this game a little. We'll see. All right. Well, we'll catch it at halftime regardless. Don't have anything in action for Monday Night Football, but we'll handicap that on Monday regardless. Any final closing thoughts, Andy? All
right. Well, our team total over was the Patriots on Thursday.
Yes.
Right away.
Yes.
And if that fails, we'll come up with the makeup double down play.
The double down play. Yes.
So my
probably Cowboys over will be the double down play. The Cowboys team total over. They can beat 27.
All right, I'm gonna rank my teasers. My favorite teaser leg is the Giants plus 2.5.
That's number one over the Ravens.
Number one. No, it was close.
Okay.
This was like the two horses, and we got to do a photo for first. It was so close. Baltimore is a very close second. Third is Seattle.
Okay.
This changes. This moves down 2 spots if it's Wolford. But if it's Bryce, this is one I like quite a bit. Number 4, the Lions. And I know the total's high, but it is a decent spot for them, and they are at home.
Okay.
Number 5 is the Jets.
Okay.
Mostly because I think that game is a low-scoring game. I like that under. I like them to keep it close there. I don't see Minnesota blowing them out. Number 6 is Atlanta. That's getting a little lower because Atlanta is a bit of a sketch-ass team. But I think they will be able to run the ball here. And
sketchies. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them losing by a shitload here.
Sure.
And then the last one is the Raiders because that game invites all kinds of goofiness into it. And then Dallas, I have to put Dallas at the end just because it is a secondary teaser. So they're number 8. So those are the 8 teaser legs that are usable. Don't let us tell you what to do, though. Tease what you want. It's your money, hosers.
Awesome, man. Well, enjoy the remaining group games in the World Cup.
Yeah.
It's really a come down when they're over. Now, there's no football right after.
The tenseness of the last half hour.
Oh God, dude, I know.
I had to lay down
the late game. Yeah, the end of USA Iran was unreal, and then the end of the Tina Poland game combined with Mexico.
Do you play
Saudi
teasers as a full unit? I use some differentiation. No, for the most part. Every once in a while, there's one where it's like, all right. I end up on a full unit because I use the same team 4 times, you know, and at that point it's like I've put enough money on this for essentially.
My view is it's a bona fide plus EV thing to do, and if you only do that and you hit it as hard as you possibly can, you lose outs. Your liquidity evaporates, it goes away. So I like to think of it as it's a little bit of gravy on your NFL season because it's going to win every year by the end of the year if you do it right. And you're going to get a free unit or 2 effectively at the end of the season and presumably not lose an account on it. That's kind of the way I would approach it, honestly.
Yeah. All right. With that, I appreciate you guys. A lot of good comments, questions, jokes, and
if you're a recreational player, I promise you, any kind of long teaser you put in your account is going to be higher EV than the other plays you make. So keep that in mind too.
Long term, it's a winning strategy.
No.
So, all right. Happy week after Thanksgiving, guys.
All right. Best of luck this week, guys. Teasers, we talked about it so much.
Chilly out.
Strawberries make it.